4. Okay, we can just skip that. This isn't a live stream. Hey everyone, it's great to see you. Today I wanted to talk about in-world purchases. This is something that we tried to cover in a recent video, but it was just long-winded and there was just too much I was trying to do in that video. So today we're just going to focus on one very specific topic, how to get in-world purchases working today in your worlds. I wanted to make some joke about being a competition loser and needing to go out and try to make that money up with in-world purchases. But honestly, it's just like too much of a real emotion to try and even address right now. So hopefully if you're watching this now or in the future, you'll be fine. Good luck. And if you didn't compete, you were the real winner in this. And I'm going to try to do that next time for reals and not even put in like a mild entry because like the emotional strain of this has been too much, even though I didn't fully commit to it. So, in-world purchases. There's a gizmo that exists today, and the tool is getting improved, and in the next month we'll see a new version of this. So this video is only going to be actually relevant for 1 month, roughly. So apologies if you're watching this in 2 months. There should be a similar gizmo with similar features, and I imagine the scripts will work similar. I will be putting the scripts for free in the description using our asset folder at the very end. We'll do that. But let's go ahead and dive right in. So we've got the Horizon app open. If you have not joined the MHCP, you can apply to join in the description. There's a link to apply. Current locations that are open to are US, Canada, UK, and I heard Australia. So those are exciting. And more countries coming in the new year, so that's exciting as well. We're going to start by creating a new world. We're going to start with the blank world. Also, you have to be 18 plus. Sorry, children, I wish that wasn't the case, but unfortunately it is. We're starting from a blank world. I'm going to use custom model import, and we're going to call this IWP tutorial, and today's date is 12-19-24. It is the 19th. No, it's the 20th. Oh my gosh, where did the days go? Here comes Christmas. Get ready, guys. All right, going and creating that world. And while we wait for that to load, I'll do a little dance, do a little jig. That was like surfing. And now we are riding the wave into Horizon. See, transitions. Totally knocking the transitions out of the park today. All right, so welcome into Horizon. If you're on your first time in Desktop Editor, I will try to explain everything as I touch it. Like I just clicked on console, you can switch to assets. We're not getting into that obviously today, but point is, I'll try to explain things as we're getting along. The first thing we need to do is create our in-world purchase item. So we click on the Systems drop-down, go to Commerce. We're going to click plus to create a new item. We're just going to call this test item. You can give it a description. You can select an image. I recommend taking all your images in advance so that you have them at the ready. You can choose a price and then you can change the type. I recommend using consumables and setting it to auto use because you want these to be things people are purchasing on a regular basis. And so you might be selling let's talk about the things you can sell. Some things that are good examples would be like items that people can buy. I recommend doing that by having an in-world premium token that people can then buy with meta credits. And then they can use your premium token to buy in-world items that be like candy canes, insert name of thing you want to sell here. But you could also sell people like power-ups or other special things, or like you can sell them swag or what do you call like candy, just things that they can decorate themselves with or they can like stand out from the crowd. Lots of different ideas there, but I recommend doing that through your own like in-world premium credits. And what you can also do, which we were talking about in the previous live stream, if you don't find that previous live stream, it's because it's unlisted. You'd have to go to the community section to find it. It was kind of a flop. But what we did is we created a cross-world variable, and in that cross-world variable, we increased it. We'll do that again today just to show the example. And so heading back into Horizon, let's try to prepare for that. And let's go ahead and call this one Yule. Now you cannot change the name after you've made the name, and you can't change the description. So try to get this right. That might change with the newer update next month, but I'm not sure, so we'll have to wait and see. So one Yule available across Vidyuu world. And that's the benefit of using a cross-world variable, is across all of your worlds, you can make this purchase or premium token available. So they can buy a premium item in one world, and then they can buy another premium item in another world, et cetera, et cetera. You could even go a step further and use that cross-world variable group to track which items they have purchased, which would be a little different. It wouldn't be related to commerce. Sorry, my brain's going a little too fast. I'll finish up by saying here you can see the item. You'll notice that the actual item name in the script is 1_score Yule and then underscore a bunch of numbers. That's important to note. We'll see that in a little bit later. You can create a bunch of items here. You will not be able to hit this trash can icon after an item has been purchased in your world. That's important to note because I think there's a limit, like 100 items, or at least that was last I checked, I think it was around there. So if you created like 10 items that people purchased and you decided to delete them and you did that 10 times over, you would reach the limit for your world. So try to get them right early on and then don't sell them unless you really want to sell them. So there's that. A good example of a place I saw this go wrong was in a world that's been around for several years where they've been creating different sort of like in-world purchases for years and they keep cycling in new ones and they've hit the limit and we have to reuse the old ones even though the names don't match the item they're selling. So hopefully that'll improve in the future. Okay, so going back down to systems, we can head to variable groups, and we created a variable group in that previous video I mentioned. So you can click create a new one by doing this here. But we're going to add one to the world, and we go to owned by me, and that's where we're going to find our, I think we just called it Yule. So here it is, and I can click add to world and click add. And now that Yule has been added to the world, if I switch back to added to world, we can see that in here. And inside of this group, we can see the number variable that represents the number of premium tokens the person has purchased. We call that Yule inside of the Vidyuverse. And then we can also add other ones. So you could create a number or a JSON object to store the types of items that people have purchased. We're not going to do that today, but just giving you some ideas. Okay, so now that we got our variable group ready to go, we've got our item ready to be purchased. We're now going to go to our gizmos dropdown and pull out the in-world item gizmo, which is at the very bottom here. I'm going to move that down to 0, 0, 0. So I'm going to say position 0, maybe 1, 0, maybe move it 1 on the x-axis. Press F on my keyboard to focus it. There it is. I'm going to move that to 0, 1, or maybe even 2. So just forward in front of the spawn point so we can see that when we load in. And then we can change it to be either a trigger, so this will behave just like a trigger gizmo would, or you can change it to behave like a button. I don't think I like the way buttons look. Do I have to hit play to see it? Jump into preview mode. For some reason it's not showing me the button the way that I thought it would look. I've seen buttons before that I didn't like. I like the icon personally. I think that's the best one. And we can hit play, jump into preview mode, and yeah. It should look like an eye icon. We might have to leave and come back to see that reflected, but we'll ignore it for now. But yeah, so you can select that, and we need to select the in-world item. We're going to select the one Yule item that we created. It's currently visible. You can customize the purchase dialog. Oh, look at there's the eye icon appeared. Switch to button. The button hasn't appeared. It must take a moment to load in. We'll give that a second so we can see the two variations. But you can customize the the pop-up dialog position. So say you had this against a wall, the pop-up might be behind the wall, so you might need to adjust that, which will give you X, Y, and Z coordinates that you can modify. We're not going to be messing with that today. Okay, so now that we got this set up and ready to go, we can now go ahead and create a script. Now, after some experimentation since last time, I've discovered a way that I think is absolutely the way I recommend doing this. We're going to create an empty object. This empty object is going to be the IWP manager, and it's going to manage all of the purchases made in this world. That means you can only have one of these. You can't have multiple. If you had multiple, it'll log the purchase twice for a player. So that's why I'm saying you can only have one of these. And I move it to 0, 0, 0, so it's out of the way. I'm wondering if I hit stop and play if that button is going to appear. It's really not. I find that's kind of funny because the info icon appeared. Do I I'm trying to, was there like a thing I did that made it appear? Doesn't seem like it. Switch back to icon. The icon's there. That's the one I like the best anyway, so you can see what that looks like. It's nice. Maybe you can see what that looks like. If I can find it. Anyway, just an eye. It's not perfect, and we should expect that to be evolving with the next iteration of the in-world purchase gizmo, of which I know nothing. So just sharing that in the future it's going to be different. So I'm excited to see what the future holds. Now that we have our IWP manager, we need to create a script that we can attach to it. So I'm going to stop the world again, go to the scripts dropdown, create a new script by using the plus icon. This is going to be called the IWP. And then in case I have a bunch of IWP scripts, I might call it like underscore manager underscore entity to differentiate. And so I could have like a, similar to what I do with custom UI, having this kind of prefix to store all those scripts related to IWP in the same area. That makes sense to me at least. All right, with that set up, sorry, my throat. We're gonna hit the three-dot icon and open an external editor. If you've never opened up VS Code before, you're gonna need to make sure that you have VS Code installed in advance. You're going to want to, yes, I trust the authors. If you have not installed VS Code yet, you'll then want to restart your computer after installing VS Code for it to link up and use that button, and for that button to work. Okay, you do want to hit allow here. And now that we've got our script ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and close the side tab here. You can click on that to expand or collapse it. I delete the first import line and the HZ and dot. It's just my personal preference. I like explicit importing, so I backspace the T, retype the T, press enter. I also like to do double spacing between kind of important sections like that, so I do a double space there. These are personal preferences, but feel free to adopt them if you like them too. Now that we have our gizmo set up, we need to create a purchase method to know when the purchase has occurred. And when a purchase occurs, it has a few parameters. I'll show you that in just a minute. So we type purchase parentheses and then curly braces after the parentheses, pressing enter. Inside the parentheses where the parameters go. So we'll need to know who the person making the purchase. we'll type player. We need to know who the player is that made the purchase. And that is a player parameter. So we'll type out player capital, clicking enter to add that to our import line up here. And we'll need to know more stuff like what the item is. But let's figure out what that looks like. So if we go up here, we connect code block events in pre-start. So we type pre-start, make sure to click enter so you get this correct one with the capital S. I don't like voids, so I delete that when I'm done. And then on line 8, this is where we're going to connect our code block event. So we type connect code block event and then parentheses. Now this is a broadcast event that everything can receive, but I only want to receive this in one place. So I'm going to type this dot entity. And so this dot entity refers to self, and so it's receiving this entity just like it would if it was a player enter world, player exit world, that sort of thing. And we want to know what the code block event is, so we type code block events with an S, arrowing down to select that, pressing enter to import it. We can then hit the dot to see a drop-down list of all of the items. We just saw purchase in there, right there. This is the one we're looking for, but we can actually type out PURCHA to see purchase. In the past, on item purchase failed and on item purchase succeeded would have been what you used in code blocks. Those have been deprecated from the TypeScript API, so I recommend, or everyone recommends, so if you hover over it, you'll see it recommends using the new one, on item purchase complete. And that is the one we're going to select. So now that we've selected this, you can hover over it to see that this event is triggered when a player completes the purchase of an item, and it comes with 3 parameters: the player who made the purchase, the item in question, and whether or not they made the purchase or if they canceled the purchase. That's the success. So we can connect that to our local purchase method, and we'll do that by doing comma, parentheses, and we draw an arrow function, and then we leave that to curly braces, and inside the curly braces is where we're going to put the function call. And so I'm just going to type purchase and then parentheses, and we need to pass in some parameters. But we need to also set up our parameters. And so we can see player item success, which we'll put inside this parentheses here. So we'll type player, comma, and you can see it start to appear here to show you what the items are. We'll then type item, comma, and success. And now that we see what these are, we can now put them down here in our purchase method so that we can pass the parameters into the purchase method. So we already had player. We'll then do item, which is a string. We'll then do success, which is a Boolean. And now in purchase, we can now pass the parameters by just typing player, comma, item, comma, success. And like that, when the player makes a purchase, it will connect to our manager here, or our manager will connect that event to our local purchase method. And in here, we can now do stuff. And what I recommend we do is we use a switch. And so if you've never done a switch before, they're not too difficult. We'll type switch, and there's an option here that shows you kind of what a switch statement looks like. So you write switch, and then in parentheses you say, what are you checking? In this case, it'll be the string value. The case is what that value is equal to. We then break. You can do that over and over and over again for every different case that is available, and then you have a default at the end, which catches if there's a mistake or there's something weird. So we'll go ahead and click switch. And so the key is the item, so we'll replace key with item. And we know that that is a string that is the name of the purchase. Now I did some testing before recording to figure out what this was, and I want to just thank Natasha and Pigeon on a Pizza for helping me with these tests. And what we discovered is that the name of the item is not the name that you gave it, but this name at the end in parentheses. So 1_Yule83710A776. And there's no way to copy paste this as far as I can tell. I've looked in the API to see if you can get it using code. I cannot find a way to get this value out. So we have to manually type this in, which is tedious, but we can do that. So there are two ways to get this out of here. The first way I will share with you is the one that I was going to try doing. And what it was is when the purchase was failed, because you're going to go into the world and then cancel the purchase, I would then console log the item name. That would put it on the console where I could copy paste it into a text edit file and then copy paste it out of there. But instead, I'm honestly just going to manually type this. So the value for our first case is, we're going to put backspace. And I like single ticks as my default, so I use that. And then 1_lowercase y-u-u-l-e. Make sure that these cases do match. That does matter. Then we type in the numbers 8310A776. Verify that one more time. 8310A776. 8310A776 looks good. And then this is where we want to do stuff. And so you can imagine having multiple of these. So I can just copy paste this to show another example. So say we have another item. In fact, we might even go create that item just for the sake of doing it. We say 5 Yule, and then we won't do a description. We have to have a picture when we make this, so we'll do that real quick. We'll select the 5 option. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about that, so I'm trying to be careful. I'm making it auto use and consumable. It's upset because there's no description, so we'd say 5. Anyway, go ahead and click create. And now that that's been created, we can see the name here as well. So then we'll head back into TypeScript. And in TypeScript, we're going to change this out with the same name, which was 5_Yule, followed by the 5BC52229D. Now, I will mention, for those of you who are into going crazy, I'm hitting Shift-Alt-F on my keyboard real quick. That just reformats it. For those of you who are really crazy and like math, you might consider taking the name, the short name, this one here, 1_Yule, and using a search to search the string and find where this is located inside the string. And if you find the match at index 0, you then know that this is the item. And that is an easier way than writing out all these numbers. Now, if you do write out the numbers, you're going to want to test it. And that's what we're going to build next, is just a quick test. And in default, we're going to have all of our possible cases listed here. But if something somehow doesn't happen, like one of these, like there's a third item that we forgot to add, we want to use default to log that to the console. So we can then say console.log parentheses, and we'd say in single ticks, item not in switch, case for item not found, colon space, and then plus, and then the item goes here. And so you'd get a log on the console to let you know that there wasn't a case for that item. And so say I misspelled one of these, then it's going to skip that one. It won't match this one, and it'll come down here to the default. and it'll run this one instead. And so what a switch is doing is it's basically trying to find the case that matches and then doing the stuff related to that case. And so then this default kind of is a good fallback in case there isn't a case available. Okie doke. Now what we're going to do is first start with this one Yule method. And what we want to do is write if parentheses success and then curly braces. And for testing purposes, I encourage you to write else. And inside of the else, we're going to do a console log. So we'll type console.log parentheses, and then we'd say purchase failed for item colon space and then plus item. You could put the player's name in there too if you wanted, but for now we're just going to do this kind of purchase success, purchase succeeded for item, and purchase failed. So that way we get that log to the console. We can then copy paste this, Command C and Command V. And so now when we test these, we have some console logs to let us know that each of these cases has worked. Okay. Whew. So with that set up, I'm going to move this back into the top left corner. That should work. It works okay. It's not perfect. So with this set up, we can now test it. But what you really want to do when a purchase succeeds, specifically for the scenario that I've recommended, which is having a premium token, you need to increase the amount that that player owns. And so in the success, we would like to do the following. Constant, and I'm going to say player Yule. And I actually want to give you guys this as I want to like send this to you. And so I want to make sure this script has kind of like generic names inside of it. And so instead of saying, we're going to say player balance, and player balance is going to be equal to, and then we're going to say this dot world dot persistent storage dot get player variable parentheses for the player who entered this purchase, so player, comma, and the string is the variable. So it starts with the variable group, which is Yule, and the variable is Yule. So if we go back into Horizon and we go down to Systems, Variable Groups, we just check the name is Yule. Clicking on that, we can see the variable name is also Yule, and so it's Yule colon Yule. And that's how we access that persistent variable. Then, after we get that variable, we want to add to it with another number, which is how much we want to add. So we're going to add 1. And to make this very clear and easier to read in case the screen gets cut off, I'm actually going to put this at the beginning and say 1 plus the world persistent storage. And then we want to set the persistent storage for the player. So we say this dot world, oops, Control C, world dot persistent storage dot set player variable for the player again, comma, and then we need that same string, which I'm just going to type twice. It's recommended to not use magic strings like this and to make a variable somewhere that you can easily change out. But for now, that's okay. And then the value is the player balance. And there it is. Now we have updated the player's persistent variable for Yule to be incremented by 1. And there are ways that you could optimize this code for sure, but that isn't the main point for today. I do think, though, that I want to put a property on the properties panel for this value. So I'm going to go Control C this real quick. And then we're going to type, name of this will be variable name. And this is going to be curly braces type colon prop types dot string comma default colon single ticks control, oops, I messed it up, Control Z. I'll just retype it one more time, Yule colon Yule. And now we have a default value that you can adjust when you get your copy of this script. And then right here, I can modify this to be props dot variable name and then Control C. I feel like variable name is a terrible, terrible thing. So we'll call this the PPV name. PPV name? Yeah, that should be Control C. And then we can utilize that anywhere we were going to use Yule underscore colon Yule, Control V. There we go. So now you only have to modify it in one location. And you can modify it from the properties panel, which is why I put it in props. Now I'm going to copy this and paste this down for number 5 as well. And then in 5, we change the number 1 to 5, and now we have done that. And you can just kind of repeat this for as many different cases as you want. 1, 5, 10, 20, etc., etc., etc. And then you could also have other cases where instead of incrementing this, you could give them a bonus or a speed boost or something like that. So there's definitely lots of options for how you can use this, but this is just kind of a base to get you going. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. But I think we are ready to give this a try. So we're going to close this out. Clicking on this, we need to attach the script to the manager, empty manager, here it is, and attach the IWP manager script. There we go. Before I forget, so here you can see PPV name is at the bottom right. Before I forget though, let's quickly jump over to the asset library. Here we are. And we're going to create a new section in here for you guys. So new folder, and today is, how did I do the naming of this folder? 2024-12-17. New folder 2024-12-20, and this is for IWP assets. There we go, and press create. And with that, we'll jump in there. And the easiest way to get access to your scripts is on the left side over here. When you open this, you can right-click Reveal in File Explorer, which will open up the File Explorer, and then open up Chrome, and then drag and drop that IWP Manager into here. And now, right now, in the description, you can go down there and grab this immediately. So that's pretty cool. We'll go ahead and close that for now, close that for now. And we are ready to test this. There's one major bug, which I'll show you, but we're going to jump into preview mode. And when I walk up to this and press E, it says you have to go into VR. Ah, darn it. I really wish there was a way to test this right here. And I also wish there was a way for it to like zoom in or something when you get close to these things. But that is out of scope for today's video, I'm afraid. So if you want to see some of that, you can check the community page of the Vidyuu YouTube channel, and you'll see a link to the previous 5-hour live stream where we actually do set it up where you can get close up to it, and we go a little bit further on some of these other topics. But for the sake of getting a test in to show you that this is working, we need to add myself as a collaborator. So we're going to add Lakes05. Let's go search up Lakes05. Any second, that should appear, I hope. Maybe that's not how that works. Enter. You know, I really thought typing my name in would work. Maybe I'm just gonna have to scroll through this until I see myself. Try again. Lakes. Hey, there I am. Okay, not sure why that was hard, but we'll go ahead and invite me as an editor. I could do tester, it doesn't really matter though. Okay, so I've invited myself, and now I'm gonna put on my VR headset and we'll check the console log. I'm not sure why this has gotten blurry. I'll try that. All right, and I did pick up a Quest 3. So I'm rocking that now. I wouldn't say it is better than a Quest Pro, but I don't notice any difference. So it might be better than a Quest Pro, but I definitely don't notice an improvement. I will also mention though, because it's worth mentioning, that going from the Quest 2 to the Quest Pro, I also didn't really notice an improvement. I was like, yeah, it's mildly better. So my opinion is definitely not something to base yours off of. But I needed something that was closer to the face, that was a little lighter weight. And I don't think this is lighter weight, but I think it is closer to the face, so the center of gravity isn't pulling on my neck so much. And I'm finally seeing a chiropractor, you guys. I'm finally taking care of myself. Oh, it's a good day to be alive. I don't know why it's so blurry though. I really don't. I'm like, can I close that for a second? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then reopen? No, okay. All right, so I'm in here and waiting for the menu to open. Go to notifications. There should be an editor invite from Vidyuu. There it is. And I called that IWP tutorial, see details, accept, and edit world. All right. I'm not sharing my screen or casting, which would be kind of cool if I was, But what I can show you is the console log. There we go, I'm on mute. Okay. And so, for the sake of giving you guys more to look at, click, Command F to focus, zoom out. Hey, look at that, there I am. All right, so here we are, and I can walk up to this little doohickey, and then I get my raycast just like the custom UI gizmo. I'll then click, it pops open a little menu right in front of me that says buy one Yule available across Vidyuu worlds. I can then click the purchase button, which will actually purchase it if I press this, so I'm not going to, because I'm going to actually instead press the X button, which will cancel the purchase. And you can then see in the console log it says purchase failed for item 1 Yule. And we could set up the 5 Yule one if we wanted to. So if on the desktop editor I click on this, change it to 5 Yule, we could duplicate this with like a Control D real quick, slide that over, change this one back to 1 I suppose. And coming back in here, I can now walk over to the 5 Yule, clicking on that, I now see 5 Yule, clicking X. We can then see that appear on the console as well. So those were both set up correctly with the names spelled right and everything. And that's it for me today, guys. I hope that has been helpful. Sorry it's all fuzzy. I will see you guys in Horizon. Good luck, have fun, and till next time, bye!